Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another astrological reading. Today, we are going to be reading the day of April 17th, 2024. And this day, especially for most of it until about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is going to be positively impacted by the star Zosma. So we have the qualities of Saturn and Venus that are working together rather harmoniously to produce success in business and trade, and there are many wonderful qualities connected to it. If you want more information, please watch the previous dates video if you want to learn more about SOSMA. We are going to shift around 5 p.m. into the stellar influence of Denebola. So, as a stellar influence, Denebola in many ways represents the shadow of Zosma. So, in Zosma, we have Saturn and Venus working together in a very harmonious way. But with Denebola, we start to see the malefic qualities of Saturn really pick up. And Venus, in many ways, is seen as the enemy of the sun. Now, when I say enemy, that's a very strong word to use. What this means is Venus and Sol don't always go super well together. Now, the reason for this is that the zodiacal sign of Libra is ruled by Venus. The sun rises in the direction of Aries, but it sets in the direction of Libra. So, in that way, Venus is said to diminish solar power, representing the setting of the sun. So, here we can see the shadow of Venus and the more malefic qualities of Saturn working together. So, what does this look like? Energies are going to be a little more tense. There's going to be likely, in many people's experience, different degrees of strife, different degrees of conflict. The danger here is shadow projection, essentially. This is what it's important to be cautious of during this influence. And what I mean by that is, let's say we have a certain problem, a certain issue within ourselves. Well, in a shadow projection, because we don't want to see ourselves as the creator of our problems, sometimes the subconscious mind will project that onto other people. It will project that onto situations. And what can happen for many folks is they end up making enemies where enemies don't really exist. And in the most mild of ways, this is you just thinking that somebody's out to get you or the problems in your life are somebody else's fault. The most extreme examples are people, taking a physical action of aggression towards those they've projected upon. So we don't need any of that, right? The world can be crazy enough as it is. So we want to be cautious about our projections. And we want to use this time to really work on healing and introspection. And this is where we're going to get into some of the amazing qualities that we can take advantage of on this day, because the tarot card for the 17th is the Hermit. It's a perfect balance for these energies connected to Denebola. So with the Hermit card, we have many wonderful, wonderful powers that we can take advantage of. So the Hermit has to do with blending opposites together, positive, negative, light and dark, male and female, and creating a new energy. And in alchemy, they would create the Philosopher's Stone through this blending of opposites, designed as a symbol to represent the purity of the soul and the transformative power that the soul possesses. So we have an opportunity during this day to turn lead into gold, to discover the Philosopher's Stone within. So you can use this time from 5 p.m. Eastern onward into the next day to really go within, to really explore the inner dimensions of the self, and to really bask in what it is to be by yourself, yet to not be alone. That is a superpower. And when you learn to harness it, being by yourself is never a negative thing. In my own life, the Hermit card has been incredibly relevant. It comes up for me in tarot draws in many ways. I see it frequently, and it's a card that's near and dear to me. And it teaches us how to be, in a sense, independent, yet connected and a part of everything. And not just that, it teaches us how to direct and create change from a distance, the ability to manifest with mind alone. These are some of the amazing gifts that the Hermit card has to offer. It also represents the power of invisibility. That's a very useful skill. Some of us, maybe we're very beautiful, we draw a lot of attention, right? Or perhaps we are rather insecure and we draw a lot of attention without meaning to because of our insecurity. It's felt by others. Or perhaps we live in an area where maybe it's not the safest area. So the power of invisibility, it won't help you necessarily become totally invisible, but it will affect how you are energetically emanating. And it can cause people to not notice you. You can go undetected. It's a great power to use. I've called upon it many times. We train people how to do this in our Magnum Opus program this spring and summer. So if you want more training and you want to dive into that, I invite you come join us because it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, in terms of the more intimate powers, this is a card of sexual love. And that's, of course, because in alchemy, you're blending opposites, male, female, light and dark. So this is an opportunity to get in touch with your body, your relationship to pleasure, learning how to experience sexual pleasure, but in a higher way through things like sexual alchemy, which is actually, ironically, the first course in our Magnum Opus program, starting in a little over 10 days. We're going to be starting, I believe it is on the 26th. Yes, the 26th through the 28th. We're going to be doing the sexual alchemy training. And this is the power of the Hermit Tarot card. So there's a lot of great synchronicities here, a lot of fun energy. We go even further into this, and the power here is quite interesting. I have to actually read it because it's a very unusual word. Bear with me while I attempt to pronounce this. And it's my own handwriting, too. I wrote it a couple days ago. Parthenogenesis. And this is the formation of an embryo from an unfertilized egg. So we're thinking, divine, what's the word to use here? A divine conception, if you will, like Christ. Yes, a spontaneous conception. And that's the miracle of alchemy, because when you unify these opposites, you're able to create within you. And we teach this, by the way, our Con and Leaf fire and water training is literally this. You create a soul within you. That's the gift of alchemy. And whose soul is it? It's your own soul. So yes, you are already a soul, of course. Now imagine if you could take the essence of which you are and give it a form, and a form that is alive and vibrating, that radiates light. And this light and this substance that you have manifested, you can use. You can use it to heal your body. You can use it to heal others. You can use it to awaken your divine powers. And ultimately, you can use it to achieve what is called spiritual immortality, the survival of the second and third death. So if you want to learn about these things, I highly encourage you, come to our immortality training. That is the third part of Magnum Opus, the alchemy of fire and water, Lesser Con and Lee. So the number of this day is the number 2. And 2 is a great number. I love 2. So in the I Ching, this is the Taoist divination tool. I recommend you all look into it. It's quite exhilarating and complex, yet very intuitive once you get a grasp of it. 2 is the primordial yin. So the symbol for 2 in the I Ching is a series of 6 broken hexagrams. So instead of 6 straight lines, there's 6 broken lines. They're broken right down the middle. It represents pure yin. And as you can see, right, the feminine, is very much a portal, right, through the yoni. It's a doorway into the inner spirit of the feminine, but also for souls to emerge in physical form. So we see that total yang, the number 1 for the I Ching, it's all unbroken lines. But in 2, we have all those lines open, right? So you can see there's a type of feminine connection here. 2 represents fertility, the ability for a fertile soil to be available to us all, to plant our seeds, to plant our crops, knowing they will grow into something magnificent. So remember that 2, the earth, represents in many ways fertile potential. Because if that soil, if the feminine is not acted upon, well, you're not going to get the life. But once we utilize the soil and these wonderful energies, we are then consciously co-creating with it, and we can use it to create something brand new. 2 is also connected in many ways to the realm of the stars, the zodiacal powers. And when heaven and earth merge, it is said that humanity, sentient life, is the result. So with 2, we also see a reference to yin and yang. But in order for creation to come into existence, yin and yang have to merge. And that's how the 2 becomes the 3. So this is going to be a very alchemical influence. So I recommend take advantage of this. And whenever zodiacal influences and astrological forecasts are predicted to be somewhat malefic, remember, you don't have to cower under a rock. You don't have to hide. You don't have to be fearful. But what you are encouraged to do is work with that energy. Have time for introspection. Have time to heal. And I recommend arm yourself with positive objects, sacred objects that you've blessed and charged and consecrated with energy. And let those be batteries. So when the influences aren't the ideal, carry those auspicious objects with you. It'll help you stay in that state. And remember, you can always take these influences, be it the star of Zosma or the star of Regulus or the many that there are. And when they're active, capture their energy in a crystal, in a talisman. Keep it with you like a battery. If you want to learn how to do that, we have our school, the Temple of the Celestial Rose, on Patreon, where we teach how to do these things. So you can do them not just adequately, but skillfully in your own way, and in a way that is inspired by the esoteric techniques that have built this amazing world that we are a part of. Remember, this world was built by first magicians. And what do I mean by that? In ancient times, there was no separation of church and state. The rulers were considered to be gods, and they had priests and magical practitioners whom would perform rituals, whom would do these well-timed energetic exercises designed to supplement the kingdom and the ruler with divine power. And these magicians oftentimes would be a part of groups like Freemasons, whom literally constructed these foundations. So in our age of Aquarius, we're going from magic and energy into science. But ultimately, what's going to happen is the Aquarian theme of exploration and innovation will lead us to discover how potent the subtle energies are. And there will be a type of alchemical blending that will happen there. So we are, by my own standards and perspectives, in the age of Aquarius. And we have moved there recently. We have done this only about 6 months or less ago. So if you're curious about this, there are many books on it. There's many teachings on it, and many people debate, are we in Aquarius? Are we still in Pisces? And I believe we are in the earliest stages of the ages of Aquarius. So with that being said, everybody, I'll leave it there on an interesting cliffhanger. So stay tuned for our next video, which is going to be, of course, on the 18th. So be well, my friends. Enjoy this day, use the energy well, and have an exciting experience of the here and now.